All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final playday of Stage 1 of the North American Challenger Division. My name is Loaf, joined once again by Crow here, and we're looking to have a pretty interesting game tonight. We have for you tonight Beast Coast versus Spiker. It's looking to be pretty good. So why don't we go ahead and Crow, why don't you give us a little bit of background on Spiker?
Yeah, so Spiker, coming pretty much out of nowhere. I casted them back when they were down in T3. I think they were really the only structured comp experience they had was AGN, a T3 league, and they came out of nowhere. Like a lot of the teams came in the qualifier that we thought we would see, like Exo's team, Thunder Logic with Penguin Kool-Aid and all them. But Spiker just came in and demolished everyone. Now it turns out they are all pretty much all console crossovers, and they have had very little prior comp experience, only being around for a few months, like maybe like 4 or so months. But they showed up. They took a map off of Thunder Logic, who a lot of people consider, before they disbanded, to be probably the top T3 team that we've ever seen, second to like the old Oblivion guys, like J90, Lags, Iconic, those guys, NJR, who are now in Pro League. The Spikers seem to be a pretty formidable team, but unfortunately, they find themselves battling out for 7th and 8th against Beast Coast. I was talking to young Alec, and he was saying, yeah, I think, definitely one of our downfalls is our, complete lack of experience compared to all these other teams. Really, Polar Ace even had a little bit more experience than Spiker did, if I'm not mistaken. So unfortunate that, lack of experience is going to be their downfall. But they're definitely looking to get their first W here. They're going to take this game seriously. They want to show that they can stick around and that they'll win their relegation game. And surprisingly, they find themselves against Beast Coast, formerly known as Bruh, who were in the top 4 last season. They seem to have had a little bit of a fall from grace.
Yeah, just a little bit, and they haven't really given any attribution as to why that's happened, but so far it's a very solid team, and you'll recognize some of these names. Sippin, Anthony MGS, Jay, Fozo, and Rudy in the main squad. All of them have been around in the comp scene, generally around tier 2 for a while now. If you remember, Fozo was actually on the old Obey Alliance roster and actually was part of the team that actually ended up qualifying for Pro League, but ended up unfortunately getting dropped along with Abanai before that switch happened. But he's back. He's on Beast Coast, and both of these teams have actually been dealt the short end of the stick as far as matches goes, because throughout their entire match history, the first match that both teams have played was against the team that ended up being in first place. Beast Coast played against the Last Dance first, which is comprised of a lot of ex-pro players.
Yeah.
You've got and then Spiker played up against PogChamp, another team comprised of ex-pro players during week 1 on the main stream. What a way to debut. But one thing that is really interesting to me, Spiker put up a heck of a fight against them. I've not seen this Beast Coast team play before, so I'm going to be interested to see how this ends up turning out, because it's already looking to be a very interesting match. So speaking of the match, let's go ahead and take a look at the map bans here and see where we'll be going today. So already, yeah, Spiker went ahead. They got rid of Consulate. No windows today. Not going to deal with it. Beast Coast getting rid of Coastline. So Oregon will be the first map picked by Spiker, followed up by Clubhouse, and our decider will be Villa. It's going to be a very, very interesting matchup. I mean, these are all fairly standard comp maps. I think the only way it could be more standard is if you switch Villa for Cafe.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, with how aggressive these teams play, both of them, the aggressive maps are off the board. We're left with Oregon, Clubhouse, Villa, typically your most utility strat heavy maps on the board. Really interesting that they decided to knock Consulate and Coastline out first. But talking about Oregon, I know Spiker. This is one of Spiker's favorite maps. They ran people through on Oregon back in T3. They took PogChamp to max OT 8-7 on Oregon.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited. Like you said, I haven't seen this current Beast Coast roster play either. I expect them to put up a fight, but just off of what I know, I'll have to give the edge to Spiker. And I don't think I've seen Spiker play club, but I do know that the map they took off Thunder Logic when Thunder Logic was in their prime was Villa. So I'm
Yeah.
excited for those two maps.
Yeah, it's definitely looking like it's going to be good. So it definitely looks like it's going to be a good match, and we do have ours from the players, so we are going to go ahead and get into things. I'm very very ready for this.
Yeah, this should definitely be a fun one. I like watching Oregon because of how new it is.
Hmm.
Um, it's really come in full force in the map pool, like we said last time. I think last time the match we casted for CACL was Oregon as well. It's
Hmm.
taken the comp scene in stride. Unlike Theme has seen a little bit of play, still not too favorable. Like we said, it's the familiarity of Oregon. It's an older map. It's been around, and despite the rework, it's still familiar to a lot of people, kind of like Cafe. Nomad is going to be the first ban off the board from Beast Coast. That's not a common ban on Oregon. Normally we see like Thatcher, Capitao, a hard breach. I feel like Nomad's a little bit of a rare one.
Yeah, it definitely is, but I think it also indicates a little bit that they're trying to give themselves a little bit more wiggle room when it comes to aggressive play, whenever they're on the defense. And since they're starting out, I think for Beast Coast, I think that's exactly what they need. And this may be indicating to Spiker as well, if they're able to read this a little bit, that Beast Coast wants to counter
Ooh.
aggression with aggression. And they know Spiker plays really aggro. And they're like, okay, if you're going to be really aggro, we're going to play just as aggro against you. And so far, I think that may be the key to it.
Now, okay, so Wamai is going to get banned by Spiker. Now, Wamai is a very powerful operator on Oregon, especially for holding two key choke points. Blue tarps in the basement behind that shield, and attic.
Mm-hmm.
And now that's no longer going to be available to these teams. Those really important choke positions are now going to heavily rely on your Jaeger. And if you allocate more ADSs over there, you might leave other places unchecked. And because they're banning the Wamai and Beast Coast decided to take Echo off the board, Mira is still up. Mira, I have not seen yet on Oregon, and what I've heard from a lot of comp players is that she's just as much of a beast on New Oregon as she was on Old Oregon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard that pretty much echoed throughout multiple different teams as well. But surprisingly, we aren't seeing Beast Coast bring that, and that brings into more. I didn't really mention it when we were talking about the teams. They indicated that they're more of a hybrid team. They can be very aggro and very reactive, but they also like to be very proactive and very structured in how they play things. And this is where we kind of see that coming out. Is like, yes, Mira's on the board, but they may have practiced for Mira is not going to be on the board. How are we going to strat around that? And that's exactly what it seems like here. And they're like, Mira may be on the board, but we're going to hold our strat to this because this is what we know works. So I'll be interested to see how they end up playing this out. They do have Anthony playing a very, very aggressive shield, or potentially Fozo. I think likely going to be Fozo there on the Cade there, playing a very, very aggressive blue tarbs.
It's definitely possible. Interesting that he's going to be playing that position if it ends up being him, because that's usually a wall that you forfeit. Maybe you know what? Maybe his plan is to use that leftover reinforcement and then Cade it.
Mm-hmm.
No, he doesn't have any electric claws in the back pocket. That's interesting. An alibi was thrown outside. That's okay. That is super annoying because that enemy detected outside thing is going to be persisting through the entire game, but it's actually gone. That is an aggressive peak by Anthony. Already we can see the aggression coming out from Beast Coast. It'll light takeoff up to around half HP, but of course the push is not deterred. That open red wall might prove difficult for Spiker if the Beast Coast player plays that, not necessarily passively, but doesn't throw his life away on it. And you've also got the alibi there playing with her holograms as well as a shield. They've got a lot more dedication of the utility up towards blue tarps than we normally see. And I think that might be because they've actually reinforced off the site wall. So this entire blue tarps hold is kind of relying on those players inside of Pillar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And already we see the alibi here of Sippin taking a very aggressive stance, but will fall, unfortunately, and that will be young Alec taking the very first opening pick, but not before losing about 75 HP of his own, and put it down to a 5v4 in favor of Spiker, but only about a minute 30 left, and they haven't made a ton of headway as far as getting the site set up. They're going to have to move very, very quickly if they want to take care of all the people still on site and potentially get a plant down.
they have at least cleared out that player pillar. Anthony has now fallen back to the site, so that'll allow the Maverick to start getting to work on that main wall, flank being held by, I believe that's Burks? I'm going to call him Burks. I don't know if it's Burks or Barks, but I'm going to call him Burks. He's going to be on the gridlock. He's on that main support role. They actually swapped IGLs. It's no longer Toon. It's now on Sonar. Well, I don't know if Burks is Sonar or if Burks is currently subbing for Sonar, but Jay on a flank by Tower Stairs. He'll take off two of the support, well, both of the support players. That is a massive flank there by Jay. You're taking down the hard breach, taking down the gridlock. Smokes now not going to be available to this attack, and a 3 versus 4 to work out of with young Alec very lit up. Now, he and Mata are the main fraggers, so there's still a lot of firepower on the side of Spiker as Burks will unfortunately DC. Luckily, he was dead. Hopefully, he's back before the next round comes. But a C4 by Fozo over the shelf will dispatch what little was left of young Alec. Now we're in a 2 versus 4. Great shot from Mata. Will fell one, but he's quickly traded from Freezer. And it's all Toon. The 1v3 clutch with only 15 seconds left. He'll take out one, but he's quickly traded by Anthony, peeking down long. And Beastcoast will take a bit of an unconventional defense for round number 1.
Yeah, definitely. And it was definitely unconventional, but I feel like it worked. I mean, they had to just sit there and wait to try and try and clear out all these people. They wasted so much time there, forcing them into a very, very basically in between a rock and a hard place, dealing with those shields and the 2 players sitting there. But they are they still look to be very promising. They were able to keep it close, but unfortunately not able to go all the way. But we are going to have a very short rehost, something that happened with Burks. He wasn't able to reconnect, so they're going to have a very short rehost, and we will be back with it. Carpe, bruh.
about that, but there was a player crash on Spiker. It was Brexy, actually. That I didn't realize that was their coach, so I pronounced his name as Bergs. But yeah, so unfortunately, I DM'd Alec during the rehost. Sonar could not make it today. Their typical IGL and fifth, so their coach of Brexy is subbing in, and Takeoff has picked up the IGL duties. So we have all the players in the lobby, I believe. But okay, we are waiting on one. But just to recap, it was a laundry defense from Beast Coast. They had a very unconventional, kind of an unconventional defense. They gave up blue tarps pretty early and had a lot of devotion over towards Pillar. They had the alibi with a shield and holograms as well as Jaeger, with an open red wall to try and hold up blue tarps for as long as possible. They had quite a bit of time, about half the round, minute 45, and then it was a huge flank by Jay down tower stairs to get two, and by then the round was pretty much over. There was a cross being held from Freezer to trade out the Zoph. It was a 1v3 that came down to a 1v2, but unfortunately didn't happen for Spiker. So round one went the way of Beast Coast, which is what we normally expect in Oregon.
Yeah, definitely. Oregon has been so far in most comp matches has been following the trend that most newer maps to the comp pool follow, which is they tend to start out very defender sided because people don't really have times to work on counter strats and other things to even things out or balance it out a little bit more, push things more to the attacker's favor. And generally in Siege, especially in comp, people most of the time find it more find it a lot easier to defend rather than attack. It's a less fluid situation than when you're attacking.
Yeah, it's easier to figure out how to hold a site than how to break into it. So
yeah,
I don't know why there was no flank watching Jay, because they had a dude dead. They could have someone on flank drone, and they had a gridlock. And
yeah,
I guess
they
didn't gridlock tower, or maybe they gridlocked like too far down the stairs or something. Whatever that was, it was a bit of a lack of due diligence by Spiker to enable Jay for that flank, because it was with the SMG-11 too. So that must have been a stack up from two of the Spiker players for him to get both those kills in one mag, and there was no refrag either. So that was pretty confusing there. I think he was able to get back to site, if I'm not mistaken, before
yeah,
Anthony
he was able to get back to site.
Yeah, before Anthony got the last kill.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, that's kind of what we expect. Anthony was super aggressive during the beginning of the round, so I think that's kind of set the pace for how Beast Coast are going to play.
Yeah,
but
I mean, it's what I said, is counter aggression with aggression. It is kind of what we expected Beast Coast to do. But yeah, we are ready to go ahead and get back into it now, and we can get right back into this match, and we'll be on to round number 2.
It'd probably be dorms, I would
Likely.
imagine, from Beast Coast. And yes, I'm a genius. Now, I'm really interested to see how they decide to hold dorms without a Wamai. Now, that heavier presence in Pillar might have been their solution to no Wamai holding blue tarps, and it looks like the solution for Beast Coast is going to be Clash. We see a lot of Clashes hold Attic because Attic is just a long hallway, but no, it's going to be Mira on Jay.
This is what you were talking about earlier, how Mira is you were talking about it earlier, how Mira is she's normally been banned, but now there's been a little bit of a shift in the meta. People want to get rid of Wamai and Echo, especially here on Oregon, and Mira is still very good on New Oregon. So I'll be interested to see how Jay ends up playing this out. We're already seeing one of them get put down, and yeah, this is going to be something that's going to make it very difficult for Spiker to work around, because you'll see one of two pushes really happen. You'll see a push come in from Trophy, Master Bedroom, that area, or you'll see one come in from the main window and White Stairs. Well, Jay has essentially said you're going to have to go through another player entirely who is near invulnerable in order to make that push through main window, which could potentially allow Beast Coast to funnel them through the main bedroom or the trophy, rotate back in, and make it so they only have to deal with one real angle of attack rather than two like you normally see.
I wonder where that's where the other mirror is. The only thing about this mirror window is they can just be shot from the kids window. At least the one watching Attic can be.
Yeah.
And I mean, if Spiker read that, they can probably just rotate someone over with a. I mean, it'll spend like 30 seconds, but you know, you take out a mirror window. That's, especially one watching Attic like that, that might be pretty influential. And you see, there's also a lot of downstairs presence or downstairs dedication from Beast Coast. Now, this is what we saw on Old Oregon. A lot of people would roam downstairs over towards Kitchen because you can get that upwards pressure into kids. You can stop the rappel in. You can get C4 denial, which Beast Coast has 3 of. And they've extended themselves into meeting as well. So they've got a lot of presence downstairs. They got castle barricades to try and corral the attackers away, or at least force the attackers to clear. But it seems like Spiker, at least for right now, aren't worried about it. The nades gonna sail in, or if there were any ADSs, they have already been burnt. Maybe there wasn't any there at all, but whatever it was, one of Rudy's Goyo shields will be dispatched of, one of them inside of Attic. So now that player over by the ledge is a little less covered. It's Sippin. His ADS actually positioned behind the ledge. I mean, this is, even without OMI, this is still a pretty powerful position from the defense. It's still kind of hard to flush out unless Sippin throws his life away. He should be able to delay at least another 30, 45 seconds here. And Spiker will now drone out the fact that there are castle barricades down inside of meeting, but I don't believe any players. I think all 5 men are on site, judging by the silhouettes. So, no, I lied.
Yeah,
Anthony's
the only one is, yeah, Anthony's down in security, and no, you do have Rudy down here actually inside of Kitchen. So that's, I think, what those castle barricades are for. That allows Rudy, who has a C4, he can stay down below, get some presence down here, and get a C4. But you've got 2 of their C4s actually playing down below. Jay on the Mira is still playing upstairs, but both Rudy and Anthony playing downstairs with those C4s is going to help really, really late round as we are approaching that now. 45 seconds. This has been a very, very slow round. Spiker don't really know. They've taken a lot of time to set this up, and this is where we have to see that aggression that they've talked about come into play, and we're actually going to see that come out from Beast Coast first as Fozo gets the first kill there on Namada, taking out their Zofia.
And Mata is one of the main fraggers, so one of those entries off the board, but Toon's quick with a refrag, but he'll get downed himself thanks to the mirror window from Jay. And cleaned up by a C4 by Anthony from below. Good C4 play, I guess. Not really needed, but it'll still find a kill as young Alec caught in a crossfire. There's nothing he can do, and another crossfire. Brexy, unfortunately, just turning in the wind, will not find anything, and that's another for Fozo. On a takeoff, I believe a 3K there for the castle of Fozo. Massive play from him, and Spiker just looking pretty lost.
Yeah, definitely. They took so much time to make that push because, like I was saying early round, that mirror that almost forced them to make for an Attic trophy push, and Beast Coast was ready for that. They were absolutely ready for that. They played their cards just right, and Spiker just played right into their trap, really.
They also, ignoring those guys downstairs, allowed for, I mean, not really a C4 kill, a C4 cleanup, but that retake into, or not really a retake, but that repositioning over towards White. White is a powerful position, right? White is, I feel like maybe made a little bit stronger than it used to be. And you can get that cross from the guy in dorms, and because the mirror has the window, it doesn't have to worry about Attic as much. She can easily get that crossfire with the player on White. So Fozo, really in the right place at the right time, getting 3 picks as castle. There was really not a lot Spiker could do. Like you said, delayed way too much time, and they didn't even really deal with the mirror windows. Didn't clear downstairs. They just stalled out in Trophy and Attic, which was definitely, you know, that's not what you want to see, but that at least will force Beast Coast onto their 3rd site, which is meeting. Not a lot of teams like the middle 2 sites. I've spoken to a lot of players, and they don't really think the middle 2 sites have been strengthened all that much thanks to the rework. The addition of meeting certainly helps. It's better than Tower. Tower was, you know, Tower was just freaking just god awful. But the problem with meeting, though, is that it's a very simple checklist most of the time. Most of the time, it's clear Attic. You don't even really need to clear the whole top floor, because as long as you can hold Attic, you hold the top floor. Clear Attic, open stage wall, plant stage. Yeah, I mean that's a very easy way to go about it. But it looks like they're going to making that push into Attic, like you said, very, very difficult, as they've got a Cade charge up on the wall and it fully reinforced. I think that Cade charge is actually taking care of all 4 walls there, which is fantastic use of that gadget there by Jay. But with a Maverick on the board, it doesn't look like it's going to matter all too much. Yeah, and they're going to take out the wall. So sometimes you'll see from the defense, they'll open holes in the wall with the soft destruction just to make it a little bit trickier. to Maverick Trick. It's not, it's not too influential, but if the Maverick's lazy, it can certainly catch them a little bit off guard. But so the Buck is just going to shoot that out just to make it easier. But unfortunately, Takeoff is going to whiff a little bit on the Maverick Trick. He'll take some shots to the feet by, I believe, judging by the gun, I think that was Fozo, and still has not gotten it open. He has now wasted over a minute on this wall, and I think, judging by the sound of the Buck, they will have finally opened it, but he used a lot of his blowtorch. Hopefully I think he's still got enough to do the bottom wall, but he'll definitely have to be liberal with his usage. And he's still got a full canister left, so he'll have enough. So now Attic is open, and Spiker doesn't necessarily have to push this. You'll see sometimes teams will go for kind of a late push into the top floor, but that is poor positioning from Takeoff. You have to expect someone to be holding that angle, and it's going to deal a lot of damage to the Maverick. Now, he's barely at HP, but Young Alec is just going to swing the doorway and take out Jay. A little bit of payback there. So the Kaid goes down first. Of course, Electroclaw's already out, but at least it's a C4 off the board and one of those players inside of sight. So now really the only things the defenders can do to try and cover meeting will be from a distance.
Yeah, and we're already seeing that you've got one sitting over by the soft kitchen wall there, trying to hold the entrance there on the stage wall, because they know at this point they've got stage wall pretty much open. They can get a plant down there, but so long as they've got that angle from kitchen, I think they can do well. Because we're seeing already getting a smoke canister out there, preventing them from making that push in. Because Takeoff with the diffuser, if he gets caught for even a millisecond inside one of those smoke clouds, he is down and out, and it's going to make things a lot more difficult. But Anthony there with a double kill takes down Burks and triple kill, my mistake, takes down Burks, Young Alec, and Toon. And it is now a 1v2 win from looks like a round that Spiker could very definitely win. Now it looks like it's in the hands of Beastcoast, but Takeoff is going to go ahead and start planting with 3 seconds left on the board. The drop comes in from Sippin. He's got to stick it at this point, and Takeoff is going to be caught in the animation. Sippin will finish him off, and that will be the round in the hands of Beastcoast.
3 for Anthony, 2 for Sippin on OJ. Very well orchestrated retake, or I don't even really know if you could call that a retake. Like, sure, the attacks were in the site, but they didn't really do much with it. Young Alec got a triple kill of his own, but it was not enough. I think a lot of that being the fact that your upstairs player, Toon, who was holding Attic, died to Sippin. That took a lot of the upstairs pressure off. And just long angles being held by Anthony caught members of Spiker off guard. Really, really well played using the Doc ACOG there, and Anthony will remain deathless, 5-0 in 3 rounds. Insane play from him, and as aggressive a player as he is as well. The fact that he has not died yet is pretty miraculous. So obviously he's choosing fights that work in his advantage, and not a lot Spiker can do about it. That round, they took too much time opening the walls. They had to rush through smoke. They died to the long angle. They didn't really, again, Spiker didn't really clear anything. Oregon is a very, very, very control-based map. The more control you have, the better. Now, meeting is probably the site that least relies upon that, but still, Spiker had control over T2 of the tower, and that was kind of it. And Beast Coast just fought back tremendously. Spiker couldn't do anything about it with what little time remained. And now we're going back to the laundry. No, Alibi coming out from Sippin yet again. I imagine it's going to be a very similarly held defense.
Yeah, it looks to be that way as well with the setup coming out here. Fozo, once again, going to be back behind that shield inside of blue tarps, one inside the doorway as well. Yeah, this looks to be a very similar take. Now, since Spiker have already seen this take, I'm going to be interested to see if they make an adjustment now that they know that this is how they held it, this is how we need to clear things out now, or if, once again, they're going to be stalled out by trying to clear everything out in this area, or if they're going to try and find a way to get around it, maybe make a push down the main stairs and into pillars, try and clear out the players sitting in there, because you have Fozo playing very, very close, as well as Anthony on some bullet holes, but there is Young Alec going to be the first one down by Fozo. Going to swing on the blue tarp's door, and that is your hard breach down and out. You do still have Takeoff here, but with the Maverick, it's going to be a lot more difficult.
Yeah, Young Alec very obviously not expecting that push, and again, as characterized by the lack of damage dealt back to Fozo. The troubling thing for Spiker that I also noticed is if Young Alec struggles and Mata struggles, there's no one really picks up the slack. Toon, yes, sometimes, but it's not as consistent as young Alec and Mata. Spiker really relies on at least one of their entry fraggers going off, but there's 2 kills the way of Spiker. So back down to a 4v3, they'll take the man count advantage. The question is, can they hold it? As every time they have gotten it, they've, before this round, Spiker had gotten every opening pick. Hasn't really done anything for them, as apparent by the scoreboard.
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll be able to snowball this for their sake to try and salvage a round in the tap, as they couldn't even take the offsite. The perfect site rotation for Beast Coast is definitely going to give them, a massive advantage. But again, Spiker at least having cleared out blue tarps and pillar, that gives them some kind of foreground to mount an attack. The question is, are they going to yet again, for the 4th time in a row, take too much time?
Yeah, I think we're just yet to see that, as now Takeoff has opened up a long line at that wall, looking into the B site there. That could actually help them out a lot there. Rudy going to go ahead and put out his first gas grenade here, try and slow down this push here for Pillars. C4 comes out for Pozo, does not connect. Toon still very lit up, was actually able to just barely avoid that takeoff as well. They are looking up to stack hard in construction and Pillars here, but Beast Coast have read it. And now we just need to see who is going to win the gunfights here. They can't really do anything as far as entry now. They've opened up just about as much as they can. Takeoff still with a little bit of gas. You could do more, but there's not really anything else for him to open. It's just a matter of Spiker need to make their push now. C4 sails over, will miss once again there from Jay. No more C4s on the board there as Fozo falls to Mata there. They'll start getting the plant down. Bergs finds one, and Toon finds another one, and that's Spiker taking their very first round.
Okay, and a dominant round at that. A much better clear from Spiker. And although, again, Brexy on the gridlock, I didn't really see too many track stingers. I imagine he placed one on tower, and the big thing that was missing from Beast Coast was that tower flank. Without that, didn't really look like they had much of a defense. Yeah, young Alec fell early, but the rest of his team cleaned up. Really good mounted attack by both Mata and Takeoff. Really good kills in quick succession. No answer back from Beast Coast. And again, the snowball effect. So far, whatever team has gotten the opening pick has actually lost the round. Almost as if getting the opening pick stunts the momentum of the round. Kind of like, okay, we got the pick, let's dial it back. And then getting overrun by the aggression of the other team. So yeah, Spiker will at least take one round back. They're not out of the half just yet. If they win one more, they're sitting. You're sitting pretty. 4-2 on the defense is usually what we've come to expect. So Spiker aren't out of it. But Beast Coast definitely looking to take the next 2 and shut them out. As if they win this laundry, Dorms unlocks again, and Spiker did not have a good clear of Dorms.
Yeah. And I think part of it, moving back to their last laundry defense, I feel like the big thing that really, I talked about it before, and I'll probably end up saying this a lot tonight, is Beast Coast have shown that if they counter Spiker's aggression with more aggression, it usually works, and Spiker kind of peters out. They get scared a little bit. They don't want to push this. They're like, okay, they know that we're going to be coming from here now, or they're ready for us. They're going to get aggressive too. So what do we do now? How do we counter this? How do we play around this? And they take a lot more time. Whereas you didn't see as much aggression from Spiker, or other way around. Didn't see as much aggression from Beast Coast during that last round, and Spiker was able to take their time. They were able to set up, and they were able to aggress on their own terms. They didn't have to really worry about being reactive to what Beast Coast was doing.
I think the other big thing about that round too is that Spiker they baited out the anti-plant utility pretty well. And when it comes to laundry, if there's still enough players left up on the attack to cover all the angles, and the defense is forced to swing on your planter, they're pretty easy kills to pick up, as evidenced again by the kill feed and the lack of trades by Beast Coast. That was really well done by Spiker. But again, Beast Coast are holding firm. The nade will flush Fozo off of blue tarts, but yet again, it's this aggressive position being held, and Anthony will get the first pick, but this time, it's on the takeoff. Yeah, there's a refrag, but you lose your Maverick, and young Alec hasn't really used a lot of his utility. They've been relying pretty heavily off the Maverick torch, and now that's not going to be available. There will be another trade, sipping for Toon, and we're back down to an even 3v3, but with that, Spiker will take control of Pillars, but here's the flank that doomed Spiker last time. Now, there are Gridlock's tracks going out, so Fozo will have to fight through that, and he will with the C4, and said C4 downs Brexy. Now, losing a player, having to go recover him. Fozo is at least stopped by the Gridlock tracks, though, so he won't be able to pick up the kill. It'll just be damage off of the Gridlock. I think another thing for that round was the smokes were still up. Brexy throwing those out, not only were able to bait out the utility, but cover the planter as well. So those are at least still alive, and he still got track stingers to A, cut off a flank, or B, cover the sound of the planter. As a lot of people have used the Gridlocks for that, kind of like how people used to use Thatcher. One kill for Mata on his entry into the site, quickly refragged by Fozo though, and now Alec and Brexy are very low on HP against pretty much the full HP members of Rudy and Fozo. It's definitely going to be a tough push, as Diffuser has not even been recovered. Never mind, Brexy picked it up. As the tracks are going out, no!
What?
I can't. Okay, Fozo got caught out, but unfortunately, young Alec was not able to pick up the frag. There's the trade by Brexy, but quick on the trigger, excuse me, is Rudy. And Beastcoast just win the trade game. The low HP from the two last Spiker members certainly didn't help. I think that shotgun blast would have probably one-shot killed anyway.
Yeah.
But that whiff from young Alec, it was pretty even up until that point. If Alec gets that kill, the last two players can effectively pinch that smoke. But young Alec whiffed. Unfortunately, the Kaye just too full health for him, and only one bullet needed to be landed from the AUG, and 4 rounds now for Beastcoast. Everything is now riding off this Dorm's main hall defense, and a 5-1 half there's a lot more implications going into the second half than just, a 3-round lead rather than a 2-round lead that you've got in a 4-2 or a 4-round lead, because you've got more than a full sites rotation as a buffer, and that buffer can be huge.
Yeah, that absolutely. I mean, they could have a perfect site rotation and still be down a round, which that is going to make things very, very difficult for Spiker unless they can pick up this round. Now, if we see what we saw from Spiker initially is and Beastcoast on that first round, they went back to Laundry Room, where Beastcoast didn't play quite as aggressive as they did and allowed Spiker to just kind of do what they want, and they figured out a little bit better how to attack it. Then we might see Spiker pull out a 4-2. It's still very, very possible, and they'll still be sitting just fine going into the next half. However, if they let Beastcoast keep doing what they were doing, then I think it's going to be difficult for them. Because once again, it's the same operator setup for Fozo on the castle as well. His utility was so well used in not only slowing down the attackers, but giving free reign on the bottom floor for all of those C4 players, mainly Anthony and Rudy. You got to clean up, and as well, just the fear of having all those C4s down below can really slow down a team. So I'm interested to see how they're going to take this. They seem to be going for a bottom-up clear, but there's Sippin down below is actually going to take down Toon. Young Alec was with him, but it looks like he is rotated off back into Freezer, looking to try and get the refrag, but he's not going to be able to find it just yet.
So we see the clear coming out from Spiker, but that didn't look like they had drones in front of them. It looked like Toon and young Alec were just walking downstairs face checking, and it's going to cost Toon his life. And the play here, I would imagine as well, was going to be, clear out downstairs, take care of the C4 players, and then buck up above to take care of the mirror windows, which were still up by the end of the last round. Last time the defenders were in Dorm. And now you've lost your buck. Sure, you've still got the Zofia and the Ash, and there's a frag at least on Sip and the Roamer, but Anthony is there for the trade, and this roam game will persist. Vlad lost 2 for the price of 1. Well, never mind, 2 for 2 as Brexy takes out Rudy. That's a C4 off the board, and another C4 as Brexy will get his second kill. The coach single-handedly dispatching of those downstairs players. Now it's all up to Fozo and Jay. Jay being very lit up, presumably through the floor. Spiker yet again hold a man count advantage, but in a lot of these rounds, they've thrown it away. Absolutely. It's really up to them to slow down, reset, think to themselves, okay, we have the advantage. What do we need to do? Go through our checklist. Let's not get on too early, but Takeoff will hit a fantastic shot on the Fozo. Castle goes down, and it's all Jay, a 3 armor on 20 HP against 3 pretty hard-hitting guns, and a pinch push with a stack up on White Stairs.
Yeah, this is going to be very difficult, but still has a C4 in the back pocket. It is going to sail out, but Mata and Takeoff are going to read that very well and are actually going to back off. Jay sitting inside of Kids right now is going to try to peek that, but it will not work out, and Takeoff will be there to finish off this half. Still in the favor of Beast Coast, but instead of that 5-1 lead that we were talking about that was in their pocket that they could have taken, it's now a 4-2, and Spiker are in a much better position heading into their defensive half.
I was really worried when they were just kind of crouch walking in basement with no drone ahead of them, or if there was a drone ahead of them, there was a missed drone, which is arguably just as bad, if not worse.
Yeah.
At least Anthony was traded off, and then Brexy, you really have to hand it to Brexy for going huge and taking out both of those downstairs players by himself. As evidenced by the round history, this has been a very aggressive match so far. With only one plant coming down that whole half.
Yeah.
And that was off the hands of Takeoff, and the plant didn't really matter because it was a 1v2, and there was really
it was a last ditch.
It
was a last ditch, last second effort by him. It was just like, I have to. This is the only thing that I can do now, so might as well do it. But this is where I'm going to be interested to see what Beast Coast is going to be doing. We knew that Spiker coming into this, they were going to be a very aggressive team, but Beast Coast is self-described as a very hybrid team. We've kind of seen that they're very structured in how they play things, but they can be aggressive when need be. And I'm interested to see how that's going to translate onto the attack. It's very easy to see that on the defense, but I'm interested to see how they're going to end up pulling that over onto attack. They've got a similar lineup to what we saw from Spiker, with the exception of instead of the buck, you've got a sledge there in the hands of Jay, and I'm guessing that's in order to bring the frag nades that Buck so unfortunately lost a few patches ago.
Yeah, shed a tear for Buck. So now they've got 4 nades instead of the 2 that would be that they would be bringing on Maverick. They'll double up on the hard breach just like Spiker did, just in case if after you Maverick open the walls and you want to get some hatches open, whatever. Maybe just play aggressively, as Havana does have a very good gun. Young Alec is on the roam. He is and Takeoff, as well as Brexy, are currently the only members who are positive. Mata dropping by 1. He's 2 and 3. And again, young Alec is the player to watch out for on Spiker. He's been dubbed as the prodigy back when he was in the underage leagues, just because people would peek young Alec and die and then say, my bad. That's how bad young Alec would tend to slam people. So again, if he's slouching, Spiker tends to struggle a little bit, but he's been picking it up. He's top fragging for his team, and I think that's part of the reason why Spiker has 2 of those rounds. One round was off of young Alec, 1 round was off of Brexy, the coach, in fact. So Beast Coast, of course, their members, no slouches as well. Anthony on 7. Now he was 5-0, but 7-3 is still not a scoreline to.
Not to turn your nose up at all.
Yeah. Fozo as well on the support. He's 6-4. So fraggers on both sides. It looks like we've actually got a freezer clear from Beast Coast.
Yeah, and surprisingly, there are it looked really well. And one of the things I'm noticing that is very different about this hold than what we saw from Beast Coast, there's no castle on the board. We almost always saw a castle on the board with Beast Coast in order to support that, but there's Mata able to get a very aggressive killer on the Sippin. Wow.
That's kind of one of those, like, why are you swinging that kind of moments? And, I mean, it's Ashe, so, big whoop, but we've seen Ashes use a lot more of their utility now because of the whole 20-second meta and how important explosives are to the attack with shields and maestros and all the bulletproof gadgets and stuff. But Fozo's there to refrag and take out young Alec. Ashe for Jaeger, name a better duo. So back to 4v4, but there's not a lot of time, and Beast Coast have cleared virtually nothing. Blue Tarps is still in the hands of the defenders. There's no more freezer player, I don't think. That was Fozo going down that alley. And, okay, now, never mind. He's over towards Laundry now. So maybe they're going to try and sneak him around and get the push while the rest of the defense is distracted by the Blue Tarp side. Previously downed was Mata, and he'll get finished off, but the flanking player gets caught out, but there's another frag in the way of Beast Coast, and now they have the man-count advantage. C4 will miss, as does the gas canister. Rudy's going to be able to get the plant down, and there's 1, there's 2 for Jay, peeking through the Blue Tarps rotate. The reinforcement not being had, as Mata was unfortunately down and finished off before he could reinforce that wall back up, and that's going to really bite Spiker in the ass. They had the man-count advantage, they had the time advantage, but Beast Coast, with the right pushes in the right places, is going to take back a round that they really should have lost.
Yeah, they really should have. They took so much time, but I think they definitely capitalized on just the pure confusion that happened with Spiker, because they know, okay, we really only have to worry about blue tarps. So they focus everyone over on blue tarps. Foz was able to just walk into Laundry, gets a kill, and is able to sort of pull their attention in two directions. And they played off of that sort of havoc and confusion that was happening in those moments to get in, get a plant down, and start slowly pinching off. The pinch was stopped, but that didn't really matter at that point, because they were able to slowly push things around and just completely and totally shut out Spiker from having any chance of getting a counter defuse.
Yeah, that was a bit of a yikes. And again, I gotta point the finger at Mata dying, or not really dying, but getting downed on that position.
Oh, yeah.
With 40 seconds left, he should have fallen off and reinforced.
Yeah,
like there's no time for them to get that wall open, and leaving that open gave Jay the angle he needed to cut off the attackers. Because with Fozo going for the Laundry flank, yeah, he died off it, but you don't need him over in Laundry, and you don't need him over in Freezer for the crossfire, because they didn't reinforce blue tarps.
Yep.
So that just gave them, another angle to attack from, and another body for Spiker to worry about in a weird position to distract from the main attack. And the C4 missing, the smoke missing, all their denial not landing was really huge. And Spiker have so far not really shown me what I know Spiker is capable of as on Oregon. They are playing worse against Beastcoast than they did against PogChamp, which is. And I mean, maybe it's because of the lack of Sonar. That last second sub in, having their coach play instead of Sonar, who, I reiterate, is their new IGL. They swapped IGLs from Toon to Sonar, and they've been scrimming a lot with Sonar as the IGL. So maybe that they've made that full transition and are now not used to having, now takeoff on that role.
Yeah. And I think as well, you also mentioned that Sonar was pulling them back a little bit from that very, very aggro style that they were used to and that they had been known for so long. So that could also be potentially it, is they don't have Sonar to really rein them in and keep them away from that very, very aggro style. And they may be falling back to that a little bit, and it's just not working out for that, because again, Beast Coast knows how to counter aggression, and they've shown that with now 5 rounds on the board. So. Yeah, you do absolutely have to wonder how the lack of Sonar is really impacting the Spiker, but they still shown there have been some very, very close rounds. So I think it's just a matter of just little mistakes piling onto each other and overall hurting them. But Sippin, that is a flick if I've ever seen one. Wow.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Fozo is not going to hit a flick of his own, as Alec will take him out. Young Alec yet again starting things off for Spiker. We kind of broken the trend of the team getting the opening pick, losing the round. So who knows? It is the Hibana, though. That is your main hard breacher. As another frag comes in, another trade comes in. You lose takeoff for Jay. Now you've lost the sledge and you lost the nades, and Rudy has no more, as he had already dispensed them. So again, Spiker in the man count advantage, as we are now down to less than a minute, and Beast Coast do not have a ton of control. Now, this is what happened on Laundry, though, and really the experience that Beast Coast has and the newness of Spiker had shown through, as now another player on Spiker falls, and Brexy, the low HP player who was previously lit up by the nade, goes down. The flank over towards Trophy takes out Toon, and out of nowhere, the advantage Spiker had is thrown away. It has slipped through the cracks in their fingers, and it's young Alec in a 1v3, and the plant doesn't even have to go down as Anthony finishes him off, and Beast Coast will secure map point off yet again a round that really should have been Spiker's.
Yeah, I mean, that absolutely should have been. We've seen both times now, Spiker's in the advantage. Not only in man, but utility as well. Arguably, both times they had much better utility standing than Beast Coast did. But Beast Coast has been, they have been able to really tighten things up, especially in that late round. And you can definitely see that when it comes down to the round history, as just about every single round, again, except for one, the trend is still going on, has been ended by kills, and most of those at the hands of Beast Coast. They really know how to close out that round in the last minute or so. And I think that also comes with, you've talked about before, Spiker is still a very green team when it comes to competitive play. The members of Beast Coast are not. They have been around for a very, very long time. They're very experienced. They know the ins and outs of comp, and last 60-second pushes and executing in the last 60 seconds is something that's been a part of competitive for a very long time, and something that they are definitely a lot more comfortable with than a newer team like Spiker maybe.
Yeah, because that's another thing that Alec was telling me really was helping them, was the fact that Sonar has been around for a while. He was kind of like remember when people were saying Luminosity needed back, before getting into the whole thing, Luminosity needed someone to ground them, and that player was Slashhook. Slashhook brought with him a ton of experience, kind of put them back, back to earth. That's kind of what Sonar was doing for Spiker, and to reiterate, he is subbing out for the coach. Now, Brexy has also been around for a while, but I don't know how long he's been around as necessarily with this team as a player. So that that might be hurting them. And the Spiker is down 6-2, a 4-round advantage for Beast Coast. And Spiker have to win not only a perfect site rotation, but one more. And they're going to try to start it off on meeting. The only thing is, if they start it on meeting, they'll have to end it on meeting.
Yeah.
And meeting is, again, not a great site, especially when you've been losing your laundry and dorms. They're going to bring a Clash, though. This is different. Toon is going to run the Clash and hold upstairs with his roamers. He's going to take a bullet from Trophy, though. Already some early damage. The only thing I'm worried about is that Beast Coast have the Capitao, and they've got the Zophie with no Woman. Firebolt's going to come out, not land any damage onto the Clash, but it will push her back. And these soft walls might make the Mute's position a little bit more vulnerable, and he will die on that. It was Brexy with the opening pick on Anthony, but there's 2 quick answers from Beast Coast. Now the Clash is left alone. He'll drop down, and now it's just the Clash. And from the hatch, she'll be finished off as Beast Coast take a very, very quick round to end Oregon in a very dominant 7-2 scoreline.
Yeah, I mean, this... As soon as Beast Coast got on attack, despite ending out the half in a decently favorable position, it still looked like Beast Coast was at the helm the entire time.
Yeah, that was a very fast top clear there from the attack, and there was Spiker got caught out yet again. That map was a lot more dominant than I thought it was going to be, especially with the 2 teams so close in the standings, and having relatively similar records. They went... How many maps do they have total? Yeah, they each have won... Actually, no. Beast Coast won 1 map in their 2 games. Spiker did not win a single one. They went 2-0 against PogChamp and 2-0 against Oblation, whereas Beast Coast went 2-0 against The Last Dance and then 2-1 against the Favelas. So, again, I think a lot of this is the experience that Beast Coast has, the sub that Spiker unfortunately is having to play with. But again, that's not to discredit the win from Beast Coast. Beast Coast played extremely well. Not a lot of mistakes for Spiker to capitalize upon, and Beast Coast definitely played around the fault lines in Spiker strategies very, very, very well. So we are going to take a quick break as map 1 is done and dusted. So I don't know how long the break is going to be, but we will be right back with the second map of the night. It's going to be Beast Coast's pick of Clubhouse.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We are here now with map number 2 of Beast Coast versus Spiker. We saw an explosive end to that very last map on Oregon, with Beast Coast taking it 7-2. A very, very definitive game from them. They came out of the first half looking decently average as far as the Oregon goes, but they closed it out in 3 rounds and said to Spiker, we're here and ready to go. I'm Love, joined once again by Crow, and it's looking good. We're gonna go ahead and look at the map bands once again to get a look at what we're gonna be playing next. So Clubhouse is actually going to be our second map here. Villa will follow us up if Spiker pulls this out, but we are ready to go ahead and go into it now. Spiker starting on defense.
Yeah, as this is Beast Coast's map pick, so Spiker gets to choose starting side. Why wouldn't you pick defense on Clubhouse? If you pick defense, if you don't pick defense on Clubhouse, then you are. I'd have to question your sanity. But
I've seen some people make it work. It definitely comes down to I feel like if just a team feels a little bit more comfortable, I think they can definitely make it work.
No. Thatcher is going to be the very first ban, as is standard on Clubhouse. We rarely ever see Clubhouse without Thatcher ban. This might be Maverick or Capitown. No, it's actually going to be Hibana. Now you're pretty much required to take Maverick and Thermite. Some teams will opt to just take Maverick when attacking like CC, but a lot of times on the basement you'll see both, as Maestro will be next. Definitely interesting, not wanting to deal with the Alda or those bulletproof bubbles. Definitely means, that takes away from the 20-second meta and that utility dump meta. And now Spiker will have to choose Mira, Echo, or maybe even a wild card, and it will be Wamai again. Wamai, also a very useful operator on Clubhouse, especially holding rafters. And now that's no longer going to be available, and that means both Echo and Mira will be in play.
That's going to be a big thing, and we're going to see pretty quickly if Spiker is going to utilize that, or if it's just kind of, we wanted to get rid of these operators, we don't have any plans to really play those others. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. We see Cade coming out here from Mata, and Valkyrie going to be pulled out from takeoff. We'll see if something will change in the 6 pick. I wouldn't be surprised if they drop the Valkyrie in favor of an Echo, but it looks like probably not. It looks like they're just going to stick with this roster and not use the Echo and Mira that have been so graciously left for them.
Interesting that they're not going to use the Echo, especially on CCTV Cash, where he does find a lot of use.
Absolutely.
That's definitely interesting. They will take Brexy on dock. Brexy will likely be the man holding rafters, as there is no Wamai. And they've got Valkyrie as well. Valkyrie, I guess instead of Echo, they'd rather bring the Valk, maybe take off a little more comfortable on the more aggressive operator, as Spiker are a more aggressive team. I don't remember who would play Echo.
It would probably be their.
I don't even remember Spiker ever running Echo, actually.
Part of that
I'm probably wrong, but it just doesn't come to mind.
Part of that is probably due to Echo is just so commonly banned that teams don't normally make strats with him. Same thing goes for Mira. It's one of those operators you expect them to be banned, so you don't even bother making strats with them, because if you can make a strat without them, even if they're up, it doesn't matter. So I can understand why they may not have anyone that would play it.
Yeah, he's kind of a rigid op too. You gotta really go with the flex kind of play style. You gotta really be the cameraman. You gotta play off your drones. Doesn't really allow you to play all that aggressively, despite having the ACOG. It's kind of like one of those, you can play him aggressively because he's got a really good gun, but like, are you willing to take the risk? As Toon will send a C4 out trying to catch Fozo through the Maverick pools, but it'll actually do no damage at all. And Fozo will open the wall in less than 45 seconds. That's really, really good efficiency. And wow, he's got a lot of the gas still left in his torch as well. Really good job by Fozo. Interesting, 2 members of the defense inside of rafters, both the Doc as well as the Kite. So both the ACOGs on the defense are dedicated over towards rafters. Maybe they know about, maybe they know that Beast Coast is a player, or is a team that really tends to take this position. And wow, Brexy is going to get absolutely slammed into the ground by Sippin. Excellent use of both the Capitao Firebolt to make the Doc stand up, and a very nice shot being hit with that para. Now, it really falls upon Mata to try and hold that position, unless he's already fallen off. No, I think he's in the corner, if I'm not mistaken. And I mean, he's got the TZSG, which it's not nearly as good as it once was, but it's still a formidable weapon in the right hands. He's got a C4 to support him as well. But as I say that, he'll get felled by Jay, moving in through the open garage wall. Now Garage Rafters control, breach control for the attack. They don't even have to go for the construction pinch because they've got those two avenues open to them. They'll actually open the garage wall even more using the thermite charge. So they have both sides open. That's cool from Beast Coast.
Yeah.
Just a little bit more of the sight line into the site.
Yeah, and there is a lot that the Spiker has to do to prevent this from working. But there's going to be the first thing that's going to happen. Takeoff going to take care of Rudy. One of their hard reaches down. Despite them having it all done, this is going to be one off the board. They're also going to take down Young Alec as well. One of the star fraggers that we saw last map before Spiker going to be taken down with 35 seconds left of the round. It's up to Toon and Takeoff. C4 still in the back pocket of Takeoff here. He can do a lot. Try and deny this plan as Jay will go ahead and start doing that, but Anthony will actually take him down, so no more utility in the back pocket for anyone on Spiker, and that's actually going to be the Mute going to jump out, try and get the counter plan, but he will be exposed, and now they know exactly where he is, where he's going to be coming from, and that's going to be the round in favor of Beast Coast.
Very well done by Beast Coast. A really, really super efficient opening of the wall and an equally as efficient clear of garage rafters. Again, no Wamai, which Spiker were actually the ones to ban it, means that Capitao can do whatever the hell he wants. Simply being able to land a firebolt in a great position. Brexy was forced to stand up to get out of there and avoid being burnt alive and got tapped in the head by Sippin. A great shot by him, and then with that player off the board, they went to go open garage wall, and unfortunately Mata just had, I guess, too many angles to cover, wasn't paying attention to below him, and Jay took that frag very easily. And you can see the way that the attack was set up, because they planned to take through garage rafters, you don't have to go for the construction push that. The construction push exists so you can ignore rafters because you have that pinch onto the site. As long as you have two avenues into the site, you're sitting pretty. And Jay holding the diffuser, because Garage Rafters was taken, he doesn't have to go through the breach. He can just sneak in behind default. There was no C4 to deny because Toon had already used his, and great shots landed by Beast Coast are going to win them out the round. A dominant round, 4 players still left alive at the end, and Spiker will opt to go down to the basement as Cash really did not go the way they wanted it to.
Yeah, and that's also something I've noticed from Spiker. They do not repeat sites. They do not whatsoever. Every single time that they were on defense with East Coast and Oregon, they changed sites despite losing, and despite maybe there was potential for them to go back and do something a little bit different and end up winning the site. They didn't. They were like, we need to just go through our rotations and just keep on going. And sometimes that is absolutely what needs to happen. You just need to, it's like, okay, this site didn't work, let's try somewhere else, see if that works. But I feel like in this case, Spiker and Beast Coast have actually been playing, especially on Oregon. It's yet to be seen here on Clubhouse, but they were playing pretty close together as far in terms of how it came down to 1v2s or 1v1s a lot of the time between these two teams. So I definitely think that maybe if Spiker had given the sites another chance, they could have done a little bit more. But as well, you don't want to get stuck in a rut and end up going a site and losing it 3 times in a row. So it's all about finding the right balance and knowing when is the correct time to repeat a site and when is the time just to get off of it.
Yeah, a lot of teams do that just to keep the opponents on their toes and don't want to repeat sites, don't want to repeat the same mistakes twice in a row. As Beast Coast are opening the hatch over Moto, and it looks like taking into blue. So we've got a Moto blue split push. Kitchen will likely largely be ignored by this attack, as again, when it comes to Church, you either have, you've got like Moto blue, you've got Moto kitchen, sometimes kitchen blue. It's always, again, that kind of pinch onto the site, as Clubhouse tends to be known for. That's pretty much how all the attacks go. So blue still held by the defense, that player behind Generator persisting, and a C4 from Toon to land on Jay. Now, that's your sledge. Or they were going to go clear above kitchen. They can no longer. Nades also being completely expended as the Maverick no longer has any in his pocket. I think Toon was, not Toon. Yeah, Toon was nearly caught out by it, but unfortunately
Mm-hmm.
did not land by the attack. And now the attack is a little bit stalled, as never mind. They're just going to make their way down main, and they're going to have the Maverick go to work on Churchwall, curiously enough, as the push is still coming down blue. Long angle being held by Anthony will miss his shots as Sippin takes out Takeoff for the attacker's first kill, but that's onto the Echo. That's a very influential first kill, if ever there was one. Mata getting spammed through the wall. Great game sense there by Anthony to down off that player, and Toon is very lit up as well, and as I say that, he'll get finished off. A 4 versus 1 now. As Fozo drops Brexy, it's all up to young Alec, the prodigy himself. Can he win out the 1 versus 4? He'll take a lot of damage with no damage traded back, and he's stuck behind the minibar. There's no way he's getting out of this one. It's Fozo with another, and Beast Coast take an equally as dominant round number 2.
Yeah, it seems they're letting they let the entry go this time, but they were still able to pull off that push so well. They managed to pull all of the focus of Spiker onto that blue push, and there wasn't anyone really waiting and watching for Rudy and Fozo to make that push into Church, and they were able to get very quick control and pinch out everyone that was still left inside of Armory right around Gunrack.
I noticed that, except for a few choice rounds, there is not a lot of refrags going on Spiker.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of rounds in which Beast Coast just gets the first pick or the second pick or what have you and just snowballs it into the site, and there's no refragability from Spiker, as for the first time this entire match, Spiker will repeat a site. So I guess they're going to shut us up about that point.
Yeah.
And they've got a slightly different lineup. I guess Mata now on the Legion instead of the Kaid. So him running the Kaid was definitely a question, or a questionable decision on my end, because they've got a Maverick. They can just Maverick open the hatch, and the Electro Claws weren't allocated to Churchwall. So I'm not quite sure why he brought that. I think the Legion might definitely be a little better with how split Beast Coast were pushing. You know, a little bit of extra intel on where their players are at, so if someone tries to make a sneaky back push, they won't be able to. And you know, just that slowing, the slowing factor of the Gumais definitely helps against super aggro teams such as Beast Coast. That is a sneaky cam right at the bottom of the stairs by Toon.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what all this intel does for them. They only have one C4 now, and that's in the hands of Toon. So I'll be interested to see where that goes. But Mata, very early on, going to actually take down the Capitao of Sippin as none of his utility gets used. That is a fantastic early pick there by Spiker. And Mata's going to be able to just go ahead and rotate back down metal stairs, or at least make himself rotate and just set up and wait for Beast Coast to try and waste some time and try and flush him out. And I think that's the perfect play by Spiker there, is to waste as much of Beast Coast time as possible, because the longer they're allowed to get their setup ready, the harder they will come down on you in that last minute of the round. And so if you can waste any more of that time, then it'll be a lot easier later on. Young Alec here with a curious rotate. He's actually going to drop down right on top of Anthony, and he'll get a double there, taking down Fozo as well. And now it's a 2v5. Jay and Rudy, the only two members of Beast Coast left up. What an incredible play by young Alec there.
There was absolutely no info on that roam. I guarantee when Mata got that first kill, Sippin was like, they're rafters? What?
Yeah.
And then a young Alec comes to support from Secret, in which there's no cutoff. Again, no drone, I guess, and gets 2 free picks bottom garage. And East Coast are left, you know, in shambles. And as I say that, though, the Valkyrie gets finished off, who also apparently joined onto the roam and jumped on that bandwagon. So Jay and Rudy will at least make it a little bit easier for themselves, but there's still roamers ever so present. As Mata starts to slip down the main stairs, he hears a Legion mine go off, as now the Thermite and the Sledge are stacked up. The Sledge re-ascending the top stairs as there's a ping on Legion's position, but the Legion will just back off and waste even more time. A brilliant roam so far from Beast Coast, not getting too overly aggressive, and I think that's the key. They have not thrown their lives away, as Rudy will fall, and another for young Alec. We called him the Prodigy, and he will finally show his stuff, a 4K on the round for the Jaeger, as a lack of intel from Beast Coast and a surprise roam, if ever there was one, is going to net Spiker their first round on Clubhouse.
Yeah, that, good lord. Young, as you said, young Alec finally showing his true colors as the Prodigy here. That first 2K in garage, I knew from that moment on, honestly, Beast Coast were going to have to pull out a miracle in order to win the round. A 2v5 at this point, you had no time to set up like you've had in the previous rounds. That's what we kind of noticed from Beast Coast. It falls more in line with that hybrid strategy that they were talking about before, whereas they can be very aggressive when they need to do their takes, but they're very structured in how they set things up and how they do their clears and otherwise. You throw a wrench into that, and at just the right angle, you can completely grind that machine to a halt, and that is exactly what Spiker did with putting Mata up in rafters and having young Alec come in afterwards to clean things up.
Yeah, Brilliant Rome losing 3 men inside of Garage. And the big thing is too, right? When that first kill came down, after Stippen died, where were the drones? Everyone from Beast Coast just kind of started to push up. There was a guy on a drone, I think, behind that little rack on the bottom garage, but that was like the only dude. Everyone else from Beast Coast was pretty much face checking. And after those 2 kills happened, you know, Anthony drops down. I don't think he expected young Alec to just be sitting there and wait. And then young Alec gets the second. And I mean, you know, the last 2 players from the attack, you know, they don't know what the hell is going on. They're just going to double push down mid, just barricade to meet them with blue mines. You're not going to have anything go for them. So it's cash again for Spiker. Now Beast Coast, what we really got to watch out for is how efficiently are Beast Coast going to take Garage Rafters. Because if Spiker let them do that again, this is going to be 3-1.
Yeah, I definitely think it. And at that point, it's going to be a very difficult half for Spiker to come back from as well, because you have to remember, this is also Beast Coast's map pick. They very much anticipated to go on to the attack first. If they take a 3-3 half and then they get to move on to the defense, it's going to be incredibly difficult for Spiker to pull this back up. So I think this is probably one of the more pivotal rounds here for Spiker.
Oh, there's a... Oh no!
Oh, young
the
Alec!
Cam is gonna facilitate the run out because there's no IQ being run by the attack, I just noticed, despite an Echo and a Valkyrie still being on the board. So a fantastic first frag from young Alec. He'll take Jay. I mean, okay, Jay not the most influential operator, but that's nades. You got less nades, you halved your nades. At least Fozo still got 2, but that's still, you know, a very, very, very useful utility no longer available to the attack, at least on that one operator. And Jay was also the man with the Diffuser who went in for the sneaky plant last time. Takeoff will follow it up on Anthony, and that was their top fragger from last map, now down early. It's a 5v3, a 2-man advantage right now for Spiker, and they still hold Lounge, and they still hold Rafters. That is the big change for this defense, and what will probably win them the round. Not easily giving up those power positions within, you know, a minute and a half, a minute 45, will likely be the lockout that they need to tie this up.
Absolutely. Now we've got pings coming out here once again onto Fozo. They still have not cleared off that Vault Cam, so they're going to know Fozo's position sitting outside here, getting onto the roof, and it's going to make things incredibly difficult for Beast Coast as they try to make a shift over to construction, but young Alec is there in wait, is going to take down Fozo immediately, and is going to put Spiker in an even more hefty advantage, putting it now, it is a 2-5 split. It's going to be incredibly difficult once again for Beast Coast to come back from this. It's still possible, as it looks like Rudy's able to push in, but he's going to lose that gunfight against young Alec, and that is a 3K for him on the round, and a flawless coming out from Spiker. And Spiker have got their mojo back. Young Alec has finally woken up a little bit more, and he's finally starting to show up.
Yeah, I was going to say young Alec has gotten his mojo back, and thus so have Spiker. 7-2 in 4 rounds, nearly an identical record, maybe even better than Anthony's. And I mean, he's absolutely gone off. And it's going to be trouble for Beast Coast if they can't shut him down. Once young Alec gets the ball rolling, it's very hard to shut him down. Yes, he's a very off and on player, but when he's on, he's really on. I think that was the first round as well that we really saw a major influence from the Valkyrie. Facilitating that run out, I guarantee there were cams up inside as well as those players holding on to Rafters and holding on to Lounge because of the early body count loss from East Coast. But now Spiker have to defend the offsite. The only rounds they have won are on their repeats of the sites they have previously lost, So I'm not quite sure how Jim is going to go. They have a decent setup for it. Of course, Bandit to deny the wall, Mute to deny the drones. You've got the utility dump meta operators of the Goyo, the Jaeger, and the Castle. I think a big part here is going to be, can young Alec affect this round as he did the others, because the opposite floors on Jim are not nearly as influential. It's really hard to play an effective roam on Jim that's not just like a cash hold.
Yeah, definitely. I think the only time we've seen that really be influential is if you're running a C4 roam, which there are 3 people that could potentially do that on Spiker. You've got Takeoff, Mata, and Toon all with C4 in their back pocket, so they can potentially have some pretty good influence on the round if they decide to stick downstairs, especially late round, with those C4s. And some drones gonna call out. They know that young Alec is down in bar once again, so they are gonna be pretty wary of him now. They're not gonna let that come back at them again, as we do have Anthony and one other member pushing in from the strip here, looking to clear him out and take control of first floor so they don't have to deal with this roamer like they did last time.
And he's gone all the way down to the basement. Young Alec is definitely playing for this late flank. Despite the site, again, being Jim, it's pretty hard to get those late flanks off on this site. It's because it's so horizontal. But we'll have to see what young Alec is able to accomplish, as he has so far accomplished a lot when it comes to Clubhouse. And now he's positioned himself on Secret. So his objective here is probably to deny Red from the attack when they inevitably try and clear the cache side of things. But it's taken a long time for Beastcoast to rotate over there because they were so focused on young Alec. They will get the jacuzzi wall open, as they have opened Logi as well. So they've got, pretty much their check mark over for what they need to open on the northwest side of the map. A nade comes through, won't find anything, but the drone will spot Mata. The nade coming in, nearly the head spotted. I don't know why Mata stayed there, but the nade won't kill him anyway, and thus he will persist. And now that's 2 nades for 12 HP.
Yeah. Definitely not a position you want to be in if you're Beastcoast here. You still got 1 inside of Logi. You're gonna have to get aggressive to take him out at this point, and you've got people set up for the refrag as well. So this is the last minute where we're going to see whether or not Beastcoast is going to be able to pull off that signature last minute push here, as they are going to be able to take down young Alex Sip and finally getting revenge after being the entry kill a couple rounds prior, and Anthony finding traction as well, taking down Takeoff. And that is the Bandit and Jaeger both down and out, but a C4 sails out from Toon from over the shield, and that will take down Jay. But Rudy is getting the plant down, and the plant has gone down, and it is now in the hands. It's a post plant now. This is the first time we've seen this in the hands of really anyone except for Beastcoast. And they're going to play that perfectly, and they will take round number 5, pushing themselves up now to 3-2.
Yeah, I kind of expected it to go that way. Young Alec is unable to influence the round at all. And I mean, the attackers didn't even need to take over towards cash. They somehow Rudy was able to get in for free and plant Jim for free. And that was the round done and dusted. A retake on Jim with that many people still left alive for the attack is nearly impossible. So that's unfortunate for Spiker. And that was a really well orchestrated attack from Beastcoast. As I said, the holes that they've found in the defenses from Spiker have been spot on, and they have been using them to, the fullest extent to their advantage.
Absolutely.
Now it's going to be Church. So Beastcoast, like you said earlier, they've taken 3 rounds and effectively won the half by drawing on their attack. They're sitting in a pretty decent position. It's really up to Spiker to tie this up. Otherwise, they're going to be in a major disadvantage going into their attacking half. And they're playing... It looks like they're playing to the roam again with the Legion and the Mozzie pick. Just judging by off how it played last time, because they've got the smoke and the echo to hold down sight, and what better 2 operators to do so while the rest of your team is playing aggro.
Yeah, but another thing to mention as well is this is the first time we've really seen Beastcoast on attack, and they have been able to. They've shown in the past they're able to be very adaptive to how a team plays. So Spiker does not need to rely on the exact same thing happening again, or they are going to lose. Spiker, they having a similar strategy, but they have to play it differently. They can't just have someone sitting and waiting for someone to break down that door, because they are going to be waiting for it. They're going to be very aggressive with their droning, and they're going to make sure they know the position of every single person before they make any kind of push.
And yeah, it is going to be Mata and Toon on the roam. Young Alec coming up secret stairs like he wants to join in on the fun. Like you said, the droning probably going to be more thorough from Beast Coast, of course. I think Spiker reads into that, and that's why Toon has brought the Mozzie, just to make that, you know, just a little bit more difficult. Any headache you can give the attack is going to work to your advantage. It's going to fudge open Jacuzzi, and they're going to go for this clear instead of, you know, sprinting straight first into Garage into the waiting arms of the Roamers. Young Alec now looking like he wants to try and cross that player inside of Garage as Sippin goes for his entry, as I don't believe he's been droned out, but wow, what a drop from Jay, and good night to Toon. Obviously not ready for the Logi player to just go down the hatch and slam him. That's going to be a good first pick. That is one of the roamers off the board. And we remember how influential the roam was last time for Spiker. Another player spotted out and killed by Sippin. Young Alec goes down to the Capitao single-handedly, droning himself in and shooting the Jaeger's head. And now the roam, as Beast Coast is aware of it, has thus failed, and they now hold a 2-man advantage.
Yeah, this is what we saw from the reverse. We saw from Spiker is that Roam was able to put them in a very early on man advantage, and Spiker knew they just had to hold things down and they were going to win it, and that's exactly what happened. But now Spiker's in a much less favorable position, and they're going to have to adapt to that. And that's the blue hash going to come down, and it's going to put Takeoff in a little bit of a rough position, but he still has plenty of rotates out of there. But Mata getting very, very aggressive, and oh no, Sippin's droning on the stairs, and there he will go down. Mata will go ahead and rotate around through secret, take care of Sippin. That is your Capitao off the board, but I believe he has used some of his utility. The Legion up above will get spotted out by Rudy, though. Now it's a 4-2 Mata refrag very quickly, and that will... You've got the 2 late round operators still left up, 2 smoke canisters in the back pocket of Brexy, but Takeoff just going to peek that with his entire body, and Fozo's going to shut him down, leaving it all up to Brexy here in a 1v4 with Smoke. He is going to find one there onto Jay. Rudy going ahead and getting the plant down here. Anthony looking for the rotate, and Brexy's going to find him through the wall now. Double kill for him on the round. He's going to see the person on the plant, but he will not be able to get the kill, and Rudy will finish out this half and push it to a 4-2 favor for Beast Coast.
That the reason why the roam worked last time is because it was not expected. As soon as Beast Coast was aware of that, Beast Coast droned it out, and they slammed him. Even the retake by Mata netted 1 kill, but lost his fight through the floor to the Thermite, where Mata probably should have won that, exposed his body way too much. And then you're on site, right? You're Echo and Smoke. Yeah, maybe Takeoff was like, all right, I need to make a play. I need to get a pick. I need to do something to put this back towards a more even man count. But I mean, that was just not the play. If you hide behind Black Box, so let's say Brexy gets those 2 picks, right? And Echo's hiding behind Black Box, he can deny plant and allow Brexy to swing from blue to kill the planter. But that didn't happen because unfortunately Takeoff got aggressive. Now, as you can see, the round history that just disappeared. It's been a game of streaks so far. 2 for Beast Coast, 2 for Spiker, 2 for Beast Coast, all ending on kills, though the plant coming down in 2 of these rounds. Good job to Rudy so far with the only plants, or Rudy and Jay. Sorry, 3 plants. I forgot about round 1. Round 1 was Jay. And now we see Beast Coast playing the ever so famous SSG roam.
Yeah, and I'll be interested to see how they play this, because one of the biggest things is one of the 2 biggest things with the SSG room that I've noticed that teams like to pull from it. It's not, this isn't necessarily what the strat maybe was initially intended for, but what I've noticed from teams that have played it since it's become more mainstream is they use it to not only waste time, but at times they'll play it against teams that they know are very aggressive and will try to capitalize on, oh, they're using the SSG roam. How about we just make a full 5-man rush down blue? Well, the way the SSG roam, if it's set up correctly, you get everyone on site, and it's just like shooting fish in a barrel for the defense. They have those roamers come back, and they can just collapse on everyone, and it makes it incredibly difficult for the attack to really come away with a win there. And in the other case, we have it wasting time. You've got all these roamers and this huge expanse that you have to deal with. I mean, you see they're opening up Jacuzzi, you had people pushing in Strip, and now you've got people opening up Garage as well when they're trying to just attack downstairs in the basement because of how spread out this defense is.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see how Beast Coast plays it, as you know, they were very, very efficient in clearing Spiker's roam, so we'll see the flip side. We'll see how good Spiker are at clearing Beast Coast. Now, I believe all the Beast Coast players upstairs have fallen off, but there's still Mozzie Pests and there's still signal disruptors to prevent the drones from actually, finding people. Or sorry, not
Yeah.
pests, just signal disruptors. So Spiker are droning the rest of it out. It's taking them a long time to discover that, this entire thing is clear, as now the Buck will go to work on the bar ceiling and try and take out the Vigil, who's usually stationed there to cover the retreat of his roamers. But the retreat has already happened, and thus the Vigil is no longer in bar. Everyone is back on site after wasting 2 minutes and not even having to take a single gunfight. That is a great SSG roam, and they didn't even have Mozzie.
Yeah.
They didn't even have Mozzie, which is an operator that SSG relies very heavily upon. They have it in nearly every strat they've made, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, the Mute Mozzie combo is incredibly powerful, and SSG has taken notice of that. But there's Jay actually able to get the first kill there, taking out Toon on Buck with that C4 so well timed, and no more soft reach for them, as they're going to have to rely on just getting down in the site to get any more kills. And one soft reach was open available. Young Alec there going to refrag back onto Sippin, though, who is kind of roaming around upstairs in secret and around lounge. You'll see him slumped against the door frame there. And it's an even 4-4. Buck for a Jaeger. I would still say that Beast Coast has kind of come out on top in terms of operator trading.
Especially since this is, a kitchen hatch push, as gas canisters now start to come out with 20 seconds left. Rudy can, well, no, never mind. I thought that was the first gas canister, but it was actually the last one. So no more delay for the smoke. A long angle being held by Fozo will unfortunately not go his way. Man count advantage now slips over towards Spiker's favor, but there's some quick frags. This could be a 1 versus 3, but no. Motto will not fall just yet. Anthony, is that a suppressed CZ? That's weird. Plan going down by takeoff, though. Is there going to be denial? Yes, there is, as Beast Coast will down the planter and protect the bombs. And it's a 5-2 scoreline. Beast Coast only needing another 2 defenses. And yet again, we fall into the trap of a full site rotation's worth of points separating these two teams. If Beast Coast win one more with how inconsistent Spiker have been on their streaks, I think that's going to be GG. Spiker need to take this next round to convince me they still have a chance in this map.
Absolutely. I mean, even if you look at the kills, they aren't too far off from each other. I mean, they've been really, really close. I mean, we're talking about those streaks, but still, Spiker, in terms of fragging potential, have been holding their own. But it comes down to, I think this ultimately runs back to that lack of experience you were talking about. There are holes in their defense that Beast Coast are able to capitalize on, or holes in their attack, holes in their defense that Beast Coast have been capitalizing on that allowed them to, despite Spiker's raw fragging potential, they've been able to counteract them and still come out on top. So I honestly think that Spiker, despite being that very aggro team that they are, in order to win against a team like Beast Coast, you have to be very, very structured, and you have to keep your strats very, very tight in how you play them, or else it's going to be rather difficult for you to come out with a win.
Been very, very well played by Beast Coast so far, and they're going to go to Cash. They've got Pulse. That was an operator that we have not seen once this entire series. And he'll now come out on round 8 of map 2, and he'll hold Lounge. Obviously playing with that cardiac sensor from below, looking to get intel for his team, as Pulse is a very good intel operator when you have good communication, as well as a C4. Those C4s from below are ever present and a factor that the attackers have to be wary of at all times, especially on a site like server cache, which is completely destructible from below. And Anthony is going to start things off right for his team. He will drop the main fragger for Spiker, the top fragger for Spiker. Young Alec goes down.
Yeah, and I definitely think that's going to hurt. Young Alec has been a very, very big performer. Although, since his 4K and his 3K, he's only been able to get 1 kill so far. So he's kind of had a slump a little bit, and I think that may also be what's contributing to Spiker's loss there. As Sippin finds another quick little kill there on to the Buck, but his soft reach work has already been done. So there's not much in the way of specific utility that is left for him, but Takeoff lit up very, very much there by Fozo, who was holding down the wall with that MP5 SD.
you say the Buck's job is already done, but his job is done in the sense that if you were just using him to open the wall, but if you were using him to clear lounge and get angles up above, which is another very useful feature of the Buck, as, you know, he can shoot up with his vertical destruction, and they're not going to be able to get those, you know, easy clears of the anchor positions by just shotgunning below. So that's another detriment towards this attack. Takeoff also being dealt a lot of damage by the Echo and Rafters while he was opening the wall is going to hurt this team. The C4 coming all the way from Oil Pit through the garage door, unfortunately, will not land on Mata, so a bit of a waste of the utility there from Anthony. Now he's not going to be able to C4 the plant should it come down, of course, unless the Bandit rotates, but never mind, the Bandit has also used his C4. So no C4s left on the board, but Sippin with his gun is going to take out one. Just the challenge on the Rafters from Mata, very confusing there, and Foza will punish him for it. A 1 versus 5, make it a 0v5. It's a flawless round from Beast Coast. Sippin getting the last kill. And Beast Coast, after that dominance, I mean, yeah, they might lose Jim. Even if they lose Church again, just Spiker looked lost on that cash attack.
Absolutely. I mean, it partially came down to Anthony getting a very, very early kill there onto young Alec, but as well, despite having the wall open, you mentioned earlier the two avenues of attack that are really needed to win a CC cash hold. They were not able to secure that second angle of attack without a Buck. Yeah, I said that, yeah, his utility was done for, but if you want to get that second angle of attack, okay, Rafters isn't working, make the shift over to construction. Buck is actually very, very useful, especially if you've got a bandit on those construction walls in order to pop a nade over there and take care of the bandit charges or get underneath and help clear out any of the potential anchor spots inside of that site. So it's really, really not looking good so far for Spiker. And as we see here with the round history, Beast Coast has been, you're talking about streaks once again, Beast Coast is on when the last 4 rounds have gone in their favor, all the hands of kills. And this could potentially be the final one unless Spiker just pulls out something miraculous and is able to pull us to overtime. Beast Coast are in a very, very good position.
Yeah, they are just pulling away. And unless Spiker changed something drastic in the way they've been playing, Beast Coast have just been playing this aggressive, like you said, hybrid game perfectly. They know when to push, they know when to fall back, their anchor game has been on point, their roam and roam clear has been on point, and the only rounds that Spiker has won so far has been off of a surprise roam in which young Alec got 4 kills, and a cash hold in which Alec got 3 kills. The only to reiterate, the only round Spiker has won was because young Alec caught the attack off guard and got a multi-kill. That is the lone common denominator in both of these attacks. And like I said, if young Alec doesn't perform, Spiker struggles, and right now there is no one to take his place. Mata has not stepped up, Toon has not stepped up, and it's unfortunate to see, and Beast Coast look like they're going to take the second map just as dominantly as the first if they can take Jim. And things are just not looking good for Spiker right now. Beast Coast are absolutely in full control.
Yeah. But one thing you could mention as well is a minute is gone. Everyone on Spiker is still on the board. Now, yes, they haven't made a ton as far as map presence, but it's something that has been another common denominator of the rounds that Spiker has lost. Is Beast Coast is able to get some very early kills onto them and is able to have very early impact on them during the game. So I'll be interested to see how they take this. They're aggressing onto Logi in lieu of actually putting a ton of aggression onto the Jacuzzi wall. They opened it up a little bit with Maverick, but they aren't really spending a lot of manpower there. Takeoff is just kind of opening up a peak hole, trying to pull things off there, but Jay able to get the first kill, and once again onto young Alec.
And again, that's your major spearhead for Spiker down, and the Maverick is just finishing this wall with a minute left. And is he shooting it open? That's weird. I think
so.
You've got the Zofia on the balcony, but you don't have cash control. So if someone's still over, they might be able to take him out. But as I say that player that I was just referring to may have been Sippin, and Sippin is no longer is no longer on the board. I don't know. Yeah, I don't see the X over towards Logi or inside of Master. So I'm going to assume that was over by the server side. That lurker over by server as well will come on his retreat back to the site. And Spiker's only got 25 seconds left to make this push happen in a 4v4. Toon readying for the Logi drop as the rest of his players push through the breach, but Mata gets taken out, the Logi drop fails, and both last two players make that. The last player is pushing from a very predictable angle. Have to fight the shotgun and it won't go his way. Jay with a massive 3K to win Beast Coast the final round, and it's a double 7-2 scoreline. Beast Coast take the last match of stage 1 in a 2-0 fashion. So they will take 7th place. Spiker down to 8th. Unfortunately, the Young Gunners will not take a single series in stage 1 of NACL. Now, it is important to remember, though, that both of these teams will still go down to relegation.
Yeah.
But Beast Coast has the advantage of playing the 2nd seed out of the quals, while Spiker has to play the 1st seed. And, despite them both going to relegations, every advantage counts.
Absolutely. And I definitely agree with that. And it's definitely going to hurt for Spiker, but if nothing else, I feel like this series was a great thing. Not this series, but the stage was a great thing for them coming in, because they've shown they can make it in. And at this point now, it is how can we improve. Now we fought against the highest level of players, that higher level of players than most people will ever play against, and you were able to have some very, very good resistance as well. So I definitely think that Spiker has a lot of potential in the future. A lot of it came down to just a matter of, I feel like they need more comp experience. Beast Coast was fantastic on their attacks in executing in the last minute of things, where if Spiker didn't get things going early on, they just kind of stalled out and had to push in the last 30-45 seconds and didn't really know what was going on, whereas Beast Coast was prepared to do that every single time. And I think that also comes with just more experience. So
yeah,
I absolutely good job to Spiker. Despite the scoreline, I think that doesn't really reflect how, like, the skill that actually comes from these players. I don't think that reflects it at all. I think Spiker are still a very, very solid team, and I think this is a case where the experience on Beast Coast was just too much for the young gunners of Spiker.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's the experience from Beast Coast really weighing in, and the fact that Spiker had their IGL and their primary support player subbing out.
Yeah,
of course, those are factors, but not to take anything away from Beast Coast. You can tell they're very experienced. Every advantage that Spiker gave them, they took advantage of. It was very, very well played from Beast Coast, and of course, credit to Frozen as well. Frozen, their coach. I casted him down in T3. Very happy to see him moving up as well. I love you, Frozen. If you're watching this, which you probably will because you're a coach. The question is whether or not you have sound on. But Beast Coast, very dominant, 2-0. And I mean, that last round as well, you could tell Spiker just had no idea what was going on. They ran around the map for like 2 minutes, accomplishing nothing.
Yeah.
And Beast Coast were like, okay, we'll just sit here and wait. So that's going to do it. That's the last game for stage 1. Of course, if you haven't already, check out the other all the other VODs by our co-casters. Uzu and Razors are doing one match. I think Jacob and Red Cube.
Jacob and Red Cube have been
doing the other. So make sure you check out all the VODs, and hopefully we'll see you in stage 2. Thank you all for tuning in and watching. We appreciate all the support.